sure you keep up with all the new content on Gaming for XP. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, and we'll let you know once we've uploaded anything that's new. See ya! Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a very special edition of Fallout 76. And today what I'm going to do in the video is to try and give you what we know so far about Fallout 76 and summarize it. So in the last few days I've been talking to many people, many of you who subscribe to the channel, many others around the Fallout community. I've been watching and re-watching a number of videos, reading a heap of forum posts, all to get a feel of how the community is receiving the news of Fallout 76. It's fair to say there is certainly a split opinion in the community right now, and I think it's because this game is completely different to what we've seen before in the Fallout series. So my motivation today is really to do a video that breaks down as much of the fact as we've got, as much as possible. Give you some perspective, at least my perspective and opinions on it, and try and give you a kind of as much information so you can make an informed choice if Fallout 76 is going to be for you, if it's a game for you. I will be featuring Fallout 76 on the channel. I think it would be remiss of me not to do that. This channel has been built on Fallout 4 specifically, but also New Vegas and Fallout 3 and whatnot. So I think it's only fair that Fallout 76 is featured on this channel. I'm looking forward to it, I must be honest. I think if we can... The reason I started this channel in the first place was to give you footage, and hopefully it'll allow you to see the game before you make that decision to buy. And hopefully I'll be able to get involved in the beta program and bring it to you on the channel. So this will be a reasonably detailed and long video. I hope you enjoy it, guys. Please leave some suggestions, some likes, some comments down below, just how you feel about the game, and let's continue the discussion. So let's get into it. So in today's video I'm going to do a blend of videos and the captures that I've got from the game, analyze them. Now I may do some other videos specifically on parts of the game, I'm not sure. We'll see how long this runs for today, because I do want to go into a fair bit of detail and just with the impressions and some of the things that I've picked up in the game and some of the clips that I've kind of extracted or captured from the gameplay. A lot of this gameplay is taken from the Bethesda event at E3, and so there's a little bit of choppiness. The editing's probably not as slick as it could be, but I hope you'll forgive me for that. So let's start with the storyline of Fallout 76. So this is a prequel to all the Fallout games before. It's set 25 years after the bombs have dropped, and there's a selective amount of settlers in Vault 76 about to emerge on Reclamation Day from the vault. Now there's some interesting things that I picked up when I was looking back on some of this footage, and I'm going to share a couple of captures with you now, because they kind of allude to what your mission's going to be. And this is the first one here. Hopefully this is not too blurry, as I've kind of blown it up a bit. So you can see adapting to the life outside. The first one is accept your newer, harsher surroundings. Scavenge for weapons items to help you survive. Seek safety in numbers. I think that's fairly significant. And the last one, always ask, what can I do to build a better America? And so we'll cover the last two. So seek safety in numbers, and I think you know, the game's been talked about in you can play it in single player mode, but I think that kind of alludes to the fact that they really want you to play a co-op style game, and there's much more strength in numbers, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's interesting that it's on the wall as you leave the vault. And then I think the last one there really does point to the fact that building is going to be extremely significant in this game. and it's a key part of the overall component of the game and the way that the game's going to play. And you would have seen this one off in the distance. I've blown it up. It is a little bit blurry. And when I first seen this, I thought this was to do with jobs within the vault, but I'm not so convinced now. I think this has got to do with gameplay in the environment, and a number of jobs that are going to be significant during Fallout 76. You can see you've got your builder there. You have a public safety, educators, marketing specialist, which is the kind of shopkeeper, pest control. There's all kinds of stuff there. Kind of hard to read at this magnification, so I might just pull it down a bit so we can read it a little bit better. It's not really much better, but I think it speaks to the point that we're discussing about safety in numbers and what Todd Howard was saying during the No Clip documentary, that when you're playing with your friends, they each will have a strength that they will bring to the team, and I think this kind of points to the strengths possibly that you're going to need as a co-op team in the game. And it's interesting. I think Bethesda are famous for doing this, leaving lots of little tidbits, and we're pretty famous as fans for analysing the heck out of it. So there you go. So let's move on. So we exit the Vault 76 into West Virginian mountain country, and the mission really is, I think, to see what we can do to build a better America, or rebuild America. And you can see the scenery is beautiful. There's a whole lot of creatures you're going to encounter. A lot of them based on West Virginia folklore, but some of the old guys are back. Or some of the favourites. There's I think they're called Scotch, but effectively they're the ghouls, but they're not as mutated as we've been used to. So I believe they have guns and whatnot, and the super mutants, and there's a whole other guys that are going to come and be friends with you and say hello and probably want to rip your head off. So let's move on to the environment, because the environment, there's been some significant changes. Now, if you think of Fallout 4, if you've played Fallout 4 before, you know that map is huge, absolutely massive. The map in Fallout 76 is 4 times bigger than Fallout 4, which is going to be massive. And all new rendering, lighting and landscape technology, and the detail level has been pumped up by 16 times over what we saw in Fallout 4. So the game environment is going to be incredible, and certainly for what I've seen already, it looks as though it's just going to take your breath away. You can see storms off in the distance. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. So the immersion of the game is going to be just amazing, and I think given that it's such a big map, the playability, the number of hours that you're going to have to put into this game is just going to be astounding. I play Fallout 4 and I still come across new areas now, and I'll have a crazy amount of hours into Fallout 4. So I can imagine how much playability and how much time you're going to have to spend in, investigating and exploring this huge landscape. Now, there will be 6 distinct regions in the map, and I have taken a grab of the map, so let's have a look. So you can see there's 6 distinct areas there. We have the Ash Heap, Cranberry Bog, Savage Divide, the Forest, the Mire, and Toxic Valley. They're all very intriguing. It's interesting that with the kind of mire and the forest, there's no kind of edge to the map. At least we can't see it right here, right now. But given that it's 4 times bigger than Fallout 4, each of these areas would be massive. I reckon something like the forest or even the Savage Divide would almost be the size of Fallout map. So incredible. We are set in the mountains. There will be some points up on. I believe there's a mountain ridge that divides the map, and so you're going to have a huge mix of different areas, a little townships, so you're going to come across big cities, you know, industrial areas, all kinds of stuff that we're going to find in the map. So let's move on to building mode, and building mode obviously is most significant to me in this channel. You know, I will be doing a mix of gameplay and building, hopefully, once we figure out how the building component works in this game. As we said earlier, obviously the building component is going to play a much bigger part in the storyline, and we have a new little building tool called the Construction and Assembly Mobile Platform, where essentially means that you can build anywhere, so it's basically workshop anywhere. The workbenches are back, and you can see by this shot here, they're all very familiar to us. You know, there's the armor workbench, the weapons workbench, your power armor station, etc. And so that's good that that's all coming back. Now, what is fairly significant is you will be able to build anywhere, and then you will be able to move that settlement stroke house to any point on the map that you want. Now, I'm not sure at this point if you can name your settlement and if that shows up on the map or not, because I think that's a significant point. If you look at the new capabilities in this game, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in a little bit more detail, if you're able to name your settlement and it shows up on the map, does that mean then you become a target? And then the opposite to that is, does it mean that if you're not named, they can't see you? Now, you can also see we're going to have some settlement attacks. That's not new, but what is new is the fact that the settlement attacks will do some damage, and we're not sure at this point exactly what kind of damage it will do and to what. You know, in the shots that we've seen, like these ones, they're obviously being able to blow up generators and things like that, so some of your resources. But I'm not sure if they can blow up the buildings at this point. I hope not. But at the same time, you know, if you've got your defences in place, then that will help minimise the amount of destruction that you see. Now, the build menu has been completely rejigged, and you can see here it's significantly different to what we're used to in the past. Now, I believe that it's interesting that if you look at the third one along on the top, it says blueprints, and I think this is where you're going to have the capability of building a little settlement and then saving it as a blueprint, which I think is kind of interesting. I'm wondering that you can see that workshop budget. Maybe I wonder if the settlements have to be smaller. That doesn't seem as though it's very big, and so it's definitely a settlement budget, but I wonder if they've reduced the capabilities of building big settlements. Maybe if there's 4 people, then you'll be able to build something a little bit bigger. They've got, you can't quite see it, you just can see it right up in that top left hand corner, recent stored blueprints. Recent is something that I've been asking for a lot, maybe not in that way, but you know, like a favorites tab, so that you can you have the items that you use a lot and you can find it easily. So maybe either the recent or the stored tab is going to give you that capabilities. Then there is obviously a whole lot of walls, and then you can see them running down the left hand side there. I'm interested to know what on the bottom menu you've got build, but you've got modify. I'm interested to know what that is. And then, you know, you can flick through, obviously left to right, the variant of a particular wall. So it's completely rejigged here. And just looking at the second capture I've got, you can see you can tag for search the components in the building menu, which is fairly new, but you can see there is just a whole lot of options there. Now, there will be mods in the game. Todd Howard confirmed that in an interview that I seen, or it might have been the No Clips documentary. But what he said is the mods will not be available on launch, but they will be supporting mods, and they certainly want those to be in Fallout 76. I don't think they've quite figured out how they're going to do it in a live environment, but they were also talking about later in the evolution having an area that's a private area for you. So be interested to see how that all rolls out, and I'm pretty excited for all this. This all looks very, very slick for the building mode. I can't wait to get my hands on this. So now let's move on to the gameplay, and this is probably the biggest change to the game, and the one that's got people split in their opinion the most. And you know, the fact that Fallout 76 will be 100% online game, and basically what Bethesda has had in mind for a long time is a multiplayer version of the game, because they think it will play very well. They tried it in Fallout 4. There's a lot of reasons why it didn't work. They had to completely rewrite code and whatnot, so it's been exceptionally a difficult project to get up and running, and so they came up with a brand new game. Essentially, they've taken out the NPCs. All the people that you see will be real people, but it won't be an excessive amount of players. You know, Todd Howard stated that it would be, and quote unquote, dozens, not hundreds or thousands of other players. And certainly in the No Clips documentary, they are kind of saying that it will be around 24 to 32 per server. So you're not going to run into a lot of people. Those other players can come and get in a conflict for you, but if if they kill you, they will get a reward. You don't lose any progression, you don't lose your character. Basically, there's just some rewards for conflicts, as I understand it. You can play the game entirely solo, but I think at this point, what they're encouraging you to do is play with a group. So as far as I can tell at this point, if you want to play co-op, it will be a maximum of 4 players, including yourself. And I think this is a nice balance. And the thinking behind this is that you can all bring your different abilities or your different strengths to the group, and you all play your characters slightly different. Having played a number of these type of games, I understand that this is really taking Fallout to the next level. I know a lot of people were against this, and they're solo players. And I've got to say, I've been solo player for a long time in many games. I've also played things like The Division, Ghost Recon, Borderlands, that kind of stuff. So I've been on both sides of it, and I'm really excited by this, because as somebody that does content for YouTube, it will give us the ability to play with other YouTubers and also our subs, and for that point of view, I think that's extremely exciting, and I would look forward and love to take the opportunity to do that with you guys that are on Xbox and decide to buy Fallout 76. There will be dedicated servers, and as I said, the indication at this point is a maximum of about 32 people per server. If you want to join somebody else's game, what they're saying is you can do that virtually instant, and it will just flick you over to their server. If they're on a different server, you join in, your progression stays the same, and off you go, exploring the wastelands effectively. So certainly is not going to be a battle royale type of game. I do understand the concerns by a number of people about people potentially you playing your game and people coming in and potentially spoiling that. I know that listening to a lot of different pieces of information, that Bethesda have come out and said that they have what they call levers, or things in place that if people start to do the wrong thing, then that will be addressed. And also, you got to understand as well, this is an online game. They have the ability to tweak it on the go. So they have said quite clearly that things that work in the game will be focused on, and things that are not working on maybe maybe dropped or taken out of the game. So because it's an online game, they have the ability to push an update and tweak things as we go. I think when we first start playing this game, you know, there's going to be a number of issues, and hence why I think they're running a beta to try and identify those early. But you know, I think this game will certainly get better over time. There'll be the ability to push updates virtually 100% of the time. I think that's very encouraging for me, at least as a player, because it means that any of the kind of bugs that are in the game, then they'll be able to iron out fairly swiftly. I know they've put a huge team behind this to look at this, especially getting closer to launch, to address any kind of issues that we see in the game. And I think this includes, you know, people misbehaving. So I think the fact that I'm going to pre-order this and put it up on the channel as soon as I can, hopefully that helps you make a decision whether the game actually suits you or not. Now, let's get round to this other kind of topic that people are very concerned about, and this is the ability to access nuclear sites. And the key thing here is I get the distinct impression that getting a nuclear key code is not going to be an easy proposition. I don't think you're going to be able to do that with one code. I think you're going to need several codes to be able to access it. You'll be able to do that by getting in conflicts with creatures in the game, things like feral ghouls that you're seeing in this clip here. But they've been very clear that you may need to get other codes and a pass card and all kinds of stuff to be able to access the nukes. Not sure exactly how this is going to work, as I said, with the building component and with your settlement. Whether they'll be able to nuke your settlement. I hope not. Hope that's not the case, and I think that's the one that's got people most upset. And I think that's the intention. I think the intention is to nuke areas that are uninhabited and then unlock, you know, rare or unique resources. And you know, as they say, it's not without the risks. You can possibly get radiation sickness and that kind of stuff as a consequence of doing that. And again, as I said earlier, that they will have the possibility of tweaking this if it does get too annoying. So I think I'm just going to wait and see how this all plays out. I think from the positive side, it might be an interesting thing to add into the game. Let's just see, make sure I hope it's not abused. So let's move on to the beta testing. So there will be beta testing available, and Bethesda have called it the Break It Early test application, which I think is kind of funny. If you've played Fallout games or Bethesda games before, you know they're a little bit buggy, and so I think what they're trying to do is minimise all the things that are not going to work. They've got an idea what they think will work in the game. Once they give it over to the people that play Fallout on a regular basis, we're going to come up with a whole lot of different things that they never thought about, or we're going to use the game in quite a different way. And if you look at the building in Fallout 4 and how a number of us use it, that kind of tests to the fact that when the gamers get their hands on a game, they can do all kinds of stuff beyond what it was designed for. So as far as I understand it, to get access to the beta build, you have to have pre-ordered the game. I know I read that the pre-orders for Xbox, PlayStation and PC will go live on June 15th. So that's probably the day that I'm going to drop this video. I certainly will be pre-ordering it, and then what will happen is you will get a beta code and be able to participate in that program. Just be warned though, as it is with any beta program, if you are part of that program and you play the game and you give feedback, once you get the full game, you will lose all your progression in the beta testing, and that's always been the case in any beta testing, at least that I've ever played. So I really want to get involved with this. Hopefully they're not going to restrict us for posting a gameplay from the beta testing, and hopefully it'll give you a better look at what the game is and how it's going to play. So a few more things that I wanted to cover before we finish, and one is around microtransactions. People have been asking, whether there will be microtransactions in the game. According to the documentary that NoClip put up, yes, there will be microtransactions, is what Bethesda has said. These will be cosmetic only, and you can either purchase them through microtransactions or you can earn them in the game, and I think that's fairly significant. Cosmetic only, can be earned in the game. You don't have to actually purchase them if you don't want to. The second thing I wanted to kind of point at is that because it's an online game, they will be constantly pushing updates to the game, both on kind of bug fixes, game fixes, tweaking the game. There is kind of, they did point out that they may look at a kind of, rather than 4v4, they might extend the amount of players that are in a squad. That's not confirmed at this point, but they've got the ability to push regular updates, but they will also push, bigger updates, and for what they were saying, that's going to be DLC content to the game as well, which I think is incredibly encouraging, and means that the bugs will be ironed out pretty quickly. So the game will ship on the 14th of November this year, which I'm really happy about. Bethesda have got a track record of doing this. They are not going to, have a prolonged hype period. They announce and then they ship fairly quickly after. I would suggest the beta is probably going to be fairly shortly, June, July, somewhere around there, and then they'll ship on in November. So guys, that's it. Fallout 76. I hope this has been a useful video. I wanted to put this together. I've taken my time. I actually have, for the first time, a whole lot of notes and scripts and all kinds of stuff about this game, because I wanted to get this right for you so that you can make the choice whether the game is for you. It certainly will be featuring on Gaming for XP later in the year, and any tidbits of information that I get, I will share with you. So as ever, thanks for supporting the channel, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time on Gaming for XP. See ya!